Though BMW was pretty quick to the electric game with its i3, since it delivered that car, it kind of faltered, and while other companies were bringing their own EVs to market, it seemed like BMW was, well, sitting on its hands somewhat. That's all changed now with the iX3, which is the firm's latest fully electric car and starts off a whole new process of EVs for the firm. The question is, does this iX3 signal a new generation of BMW electric cars? Well, that's what we're here to find out today. The look of the iX3 might be familiar, and that's, well, because it's quite close to that of the regular X3. However, because this is an electric car, it does get some unique features, such as the closed-off front grille, because as it's electric, it doesn't require as much cooling, and these very nice aerodynamic wheels. There's also some small eye touches, such as the gills at the side and the badging at the rear. If you're after an electric car that doesn't feel too much like an electric car, then the iX3 is a great option for you. And that's because it feels pretty much like a regular X3 in here, and that is to say, very nicely made and very nicely finished. There are a small couple of eco touches, such as the blue starter button and the blue accent on the gear selector, but other than that, this is pretty much a standard BMW interior. You've got a large central touchscreen, which also incorporates BMW's really cool gesture control, so you can turn the radio up and down just like that. And it also has a digital dashboard in front of you, which of course has a set of readouts different to a regular X3, in that it has charging times and it has your overall battery status. The level of fit and finish is excellent though, and the seating position is really nice and high, so you've got a good view of the road ahead too. Because the iX3 is essentially based on the same platform as the regular X3, it doesn't push the boundaries of what you can do with an electric powertrain. So in here, it might not be as spacious as you'd expect from a car that doesn't have a conventional petrol engine. For instance, in the middle, you've actually got a transmission tunnel, which, given that it's electric powered, is quite odd. Usually you'd expect to see a flat floor, but again, this is because it's based on the standard X3. However, that also means you do get plenty of legroom and loads of headroom too, so it feels nice and spacious. These seats are well padded and comfortable, and you've got some sockets down there for USB-C chargers, you've got controls for the air conditioning, small cargo nets behind, which aren't the largest, but you do get nice deep door pockets, which are more than enough for a large bottle of water and some of those odds and ends that you tend to find around the cabin. If you're after a decent amount of boot space from your electric car, then the iX3 is a good option. Open the powered boot and you've got 510 litres of space to play with. Now, though that's 40 litres less than you'll get from a petrol or diesel X3, it's actually 60 litres more than you'll get from the hybrid powered X3. So this really does do well, considering it is a full EV. It's got a nice flat load area, you can lower the rear seats, and the lip isn't too high either. Plus, there's a small area underneath for your charging cables, so those can be stowed away nice and neatly. Now, unlike other EVs, the iX3 doesn't have a frunk at the front, so this really is all the space you've got. The iX3 uses an electric motor with 282 brake horsepower, and this is then linked up to a 74 kilowatt-hour battery. Now, by modern standards, that's actually not a massive battery, but it manages to return a range of around about 280 miles. That's claimed by BMW, so in real world terms, we're talking around 250 on a warm day, maybe around the 200 mark on a cold day. That's pretty good. That means that for longer journeys, you're going to have more than enough in the tank, and you're not going to have to stop to charge every 5 minutes. However, the really impressive thing that this car has on its side is the ability to charge at speeds of up to 150 kilowatt. And that means that if you find an appropriate charger, if you find an 150 kilowatt charger, you'll be able to complete a 80% charge in just over 30 minutes. So by the time you've ordered a cup of coffee and used the facilities, your car will have more than enough charge to keep you going. The good thing as well is that those 150 kilowatt chargers are becoming far more plentiful here in the UK, and even a 50 kilowatt will still be able to give you plenty of juice in the meantime. But what does the iX3 feel like to drive? Well, much in the same way as it goes with the exterior and the interior, it feels largely like an X3. Of course, you've got the complete absence of any noise, but the ride is pretty good. You can feel the extra weight that those batteries bring on occasions, particularly over broken roads, and that makes the car feel slightly unsettled. But at a cruise, this car is really pleasant and very refined indeed. The electric motor only adds to that sense of quiet and comfort too. The steering is nicely weighted. Again, this isn't a car to be hustling along, but when it comes to 0 to 60 times, BMW claims 6.5 seconds, which is about on the money for any average petrol or diesel car, so it feels pretty brisk. Of course, with an electric motor you get that instant response, so when you do step on the pedal, you are getting quite a lot of performance, and far more than you would do in a petrol or a diesel car. Plus, this car also has some added influence from composer Hans Zimmer, of all people. So if you put the car into sport mode, of course you get slightly weightier steering and slightly sharper throttle, but if you hit the accelerator, it's like you're in Inception. You start waiting for the buildings and the world to start flipping over ahead of you. Alright, it's completely manufactured, but it adds some excitement to what is otherwise a completely silent powertrain. You just keep trying it out. It's quite cool, I think. I think that's the way that EVs are going to go, is to tune their sounds to make them quite exciting to be in. Alright, it's not a V8 rumble, it's not a growly, raspy V6. But if you're buying an EV, you're aware it's not going to make much of a noise. But that's quite cool. You can, of course, then shut it off if you want to, put it back into Eco Pro or Comfort mode, and it'll be quiet as you like. The visibility is good too. These pillars aren't too thick, the wing mirrors are nice and large, and your view over the shoulder isn't too impeded by sections of bodywork. The view out of the back is also very good. In truth, apart from the lack of any real engine noise, it just feels like a regular X3 that you're bimbling around in. As I've already said, the iX3 will really suit people who have maybe been driving a plug-in hybrid or want to make the switch from a petrol or diesel car into an electric, but don't want to have to relearn all the aspects of driving that you've become used to. The steering is the same, it's got an automatic gearbox, though on this car you can put it into a more aggressive regenerative setting. You simply set the gear lever across to B, and in that mode you're getting far more regen when you let off the throttle pedal. So release the pedal, the car starts to slow it down as it regenerates energy that would usually be lost from braking. Now personally I like to leave it in that setting. I find it quite useful, particularly when you're around town, because it allows you to just relax. You don't have to use the brake so much, though you will have to use that middle pedal to bring your car to a proper halt at the end. The iX3 feels like an electric car for those people who want to transition to EV but don't want to have to face a whole new way of thinking, a whole new process to adjust to. Because it's got such a decent range, you aren't going to have to worry about charging too often, but because it has a really good charging speed, when you do, you're not going to be waiting around for a whole length of time. It's also practical, it's good looking, and it's really well made inside. Overall, the iX3 feels like the real deal and should definitely be high up on your list if you are considering making the jump to an EV as an option that doesn't feel out of this world or difficult to get along with. Thank you for watching this Motors.co.uk new car review. Now, if you have liked the iX3, then leave us a comment below and tell us what you think of this car. And please remember to subscribe to the Motors.co.uk YouTube channel, hitting that bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new video.